The Matillion ETL API is designed to make it easy to interact with and enable you to extend the functionality of Matillion ETL. With capability of performing high-volume data transfers and to interact with Matillion ETL programmatically. The Matillion ETL API is available via the REST methods GET, POST, and DELETE. The API service is accessed through the Uniform Resource Identifier, URI. There are 5 basic request patterns, which apply to most of the Matillion API endpoints, and these are based on the HTTP methods. The basic request patterns are retrieve a single resource, GET, retrieve a list of available resources, GET, delete a resource, DELETE, export a resource, GET, import a resource, POST. For all the examples, we'll be using the API client Postman to perform the example requests. You can make REST API requests using any API client, or by using a command line interface such as curl. For more information on how to do this, please visit the Matillion documentation site. You'll need the instance address to add to the request URL or endpoint. The Matillion ETL API requires authentication to make any REST API call. The Matillion API uses HTTP basic authentication. In Postman, navigate to the authorization header, select Basic Auth from the drop-down, and enter the username and password corresponding to a user of the Matillion ETL instance. Retrieve a single resource. First, we will use the Matillion ETL API to retrieve a single resource. We'll use a GET request to expose API metadata for that resource, including path, GET, POST, and DELETE method options available. The base request is as follows. Edit the URL request to include your instance address and the group and project name. When you've finished your request, press the Send button, and a successful request will return a status code of 200. The list of API metadata will be output in the body section. Retrieve a list of potential resources. You can retrieve a list of projects within a group that have been defined within the Matillion ETL instance. This process can be repeated to dig down into lower levels of the API, gaining access to increasingly specific resources such as individual jobs and tasks. To retrieve a list of available resources, we'll use a GET request. In this example, it will return all projects within a group. This is the base request format. The instance address and group name will be required. In Postman, choose a HTTP request type of GET and enter the request into the URL request bar. Press the Send button, and a successful request will return a status code of 200. The list of available projects will be output in the body section. Export. Next, we'll use a GET request to export a resource from your Matillion ETL instance to a JSON file. In this example, the request will export a whole project, which can be used to back up projects and will be useful later as a base for importing a project. The base request URL for exporting a project is as follows. The Matillion ETL instance address will be required, as well as the group name and the project name. Update the request URL in Postman and select the request type of GET. Press the Send button and a successful request will return a status code of 200. The full project will be present in the body window. By pressing the Save Response button, you can then download the project. Import. To import into Matillion ETL using the API, this task will require attaching a project in JSON format into the Body tab to import the project into the target Matillion ETL instance. For this example, we'll use the same project we exported previously, but with a new name. The base URL for an import API call is as follows. The Matillion ETL instance address will be required, as well as the group name. We need to use a POST request type. Change the project name to any desired name to avoid any conflict with pre-existing projects. When importing, there is no merge option. If a resource of the same name already exists, you must delete the existing resource before importing the new one. You can also change other details such as the ID, variables, and more. Ensure the code has been copied correctly with paired curly braces and brackets. Remember, in the body section, attach the project you want to import in JSON format. When you're happy with the request, press the Send button. If the import has been successful, a status code of 200 will be returned and will be present in the Switch Project menu from the Project menu of your Matillion ETL instance. Exporting a project via the API is not the same as exporting via the UI. Make sure any imports are in the same format as the export we did previously. Exporting a job via the Matillion ETL UI won't export in the same format, so can't be imported this way. Run. The run endpoint will allow you to run an orchestration job within the version. This will be a post method API call, as we have to attach the variable for the job to be queued in the body as a JSON file to run in the Matillion ETL instance. The base URL to run a job is as follows. You'll need the instance address, group name, version, and the name of the job which you want to run. If you are unsure of the version, it can be found within the Manage Versions menu from the Project menu of your Matillion ETL instance. In the body section of the request, post the below variables so the running of the job will be queued within your Matillion ETL instance. If the request has been successful, a status code of 200 will be returned and will return the following message. You can check that your orchestration job has run successfully in your Matillion ETL instance. In this example, a job was run which creates a table and populates it with some data. Delete. To remove a resource, we will use the delete method. In this example, we will delete a schedule from within the project in a specific group. For this example, a schedule has been created using the Manage Schedules drop-down from the Project menu. And you can check that the schedule has been created via the API by listing resources using the get command. This is the base URL for delete. You'll need the instance address, group name, project name, and the name of the resource you want to delete. In this example, the schedule we've just created. Press send, and if the request has been successful, a status code of 200 will be returned and display the following message. Then, in the Manage Schedules menu, you will see that the schedule has now been deleted. Similar to all other Matillion API requests, delete can be used to delete resources of your choice. For example, you could use a delete request to delete a project or a single job. Warning, deleted resources will be removed from your Matillion ETL instance, but will be available in the recycle bin if you need to restore them. For more information on the above requests And for full documentation on the Matillion ETL API, please visit the Matillion documentation site.